I'm a personal trainer and Miss Orange County finalist, and this
And that there
my
is a Tech 9, little cheap-ass spray gun made out of South Miami. They retail for $380, I get them for $2, sell them for $8. They advertise this Tech 9 as the most popular gun in American crime. Can you believe that?
Tonight we're talking about Quentin Tarantino's most under-discussed film, his 1997 blaxploitation homage to Jackie Brown. It's not surprising that it's as under-discussed as it is. Jackie Brown was Tarantino's third directorial effort after Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. It also followed From Dusk Till Dawn, which he wrote and starred in, by 1 year. Tarantino's next film, starting 6 years later, would be Kill Bill Volume 1 in 2003 and Volume 2 in 2004.
Is that what I think it is?
What do you think it is?
I think it's a gun pressed up against my dick.
Well, you thought right. Now take your hands from around my throat, nigga.
Jackie Brown comes out of two flashes of inspiration. First, Pam Grier, the star of Foxy Brown in 1974, as well as blaxploitation hits like Coffee, Black Mama, White Mama, and Sheba Baby, many of which were movies that had a sexy young Pam Grier holding a gun and taking down mobsters or drug dealers.
I know. That's the idea. The rest of your boyfriend is still around. And I hope you two live a long time. And then maybe you get to feel what I feel. Death is too easy for you, bitch. I want you to suffer.
Audition for Pulp Fiction. Like many actresses, Grier's starting roles unfortunately dried up. Blaxploitation as a genre faded out by the end of the 1970s, and Grier's supporting roles were often not in the most memorable movies. Her audition for Pulp Fiction went really well, and everyone agrees her reading was great. But auditioning to be Eric Stoltz's girlfriend in a scene where Uma Thurman is hit with the adrenaline needle, the chemistry between Stoltz and Pam Grier just wasn't there, and the role went to Rosanna Arquette. Pam Grier was taller than Eric Stoltz, and that might have been part of it.
Working with Quentin was really a great experience because he's so inclusive and he's very curious about life in general, and especially women. And he said, when he first contacted me, I bumped into him a couple of times, and he said, I'm writing something for you. And of course, I didn't believe him, you know. And then I bumped into him a year later, and he said he was, again, writing something for me. And I said, well, Quentin, you know, before my teeth fall out my breast sag, when are we going to do this? And so he said, no, really. And so 6 months later, he sent me this script, and I didn't believe, you know, it was for me. I actually looked for the smaller role, and I didn't call him back right away. And so I said, hey, when I did call him, you did a great job in translating, you know, the script from the novel. And he said, well, good, I'm glad you like it because you're Jackie Brown.
But that audition didn't leave Tarantino's mind, and he told Pam Grier that he was writing something for her. It turned out to be Jackie Brown. The second thing was the book Rum Punch by Elmore Leonard. Although Jackie Burke was white in the novel, Tarantino turned the novel into a love letter to blaxploitation films, starring Samuel L. Jackson as the bank robber turned arms dealer Ordell Robbie, a character so evil and diabolical, I believe the Reddit theory that he actually is a representation of the devil.
That's why you came here to kill me.
I ain't come over here to kill you.
Hey, it's okay. Now, I forgive you. Now, let's say, if I tell on you, I walk. If I don't, I'll go to jail.
Robert De Niro as the hapless Lewis, probably the closest character to his real self with a tendency to stutter and get tongue-tied, Michael Keaton as an asshole ATF agent, Bridgette Fonda, Chris Tucker, and Robert Forster as the bail bondsman, Max Cherry. A character actor whose work was often in forgettable and low-budget movies and TV shows, Forster has a similar fate to Pam Grier.
Would you like to hear some music?
Sure.
Cool. You know, I couldn't wait to get home last night and wash the gel out of my hair.
Looks nice.
Thanks.
You never got into the whole CD revolution?
Oh, I got a few, but I can't afford to start all over again. I mean, I've invested too much time and money in my albums.
The plot of Jackie Brown is rich. It is an Elmore Leonard novel. Jackie Brown is a flight attendant at the very shitty Cabo Air. She's, as you're constantly reminded by every asshole she meets, a 44-year-old black woman whose prospects have dwindled after she got caught with drugs working at Delta and was pushed down to Cabo Air. Struggling to make ends meet, divorced, and living in increasingly expensive LA. She made a deal with the gun runner Ordell to become his bag woman, bringing money a bit at a time from his connect in Mexico. She gets caught up in the investigation into Ordell by the ATF after being arrested with $50,000 on her and a bag of cocaine she didn't know was slipped into the envelope.
What's that?
My diet shit.
See what else is in there.
Here. Here.
What's this?
What's this shit?
After a clearly smitten Max Cherry picks her up from jail, Jackie tries to come up with a plan to play all sides in a way that allows her to keep her stewardess job, or at least some of Ordell's money. We also get the story of Ordell's little operation with the girls he pays all over the place. Robert De Niro plays his awkward friend Lewis, who's just gotten out of a 4-year prison stint, perhaps slower and more confused than he was before. And Ordell's surfer girl Melanie, who's always scheming in a way to screw him over at all times.
She trying to play your ass against me, ain't she?
Yeah.
See, I knew it. See, you ain't have to say nothing. I know that bitch.
No, I don't understand why you keep someone around your business and you can't even trust them.
I ain't gotta trust her. I know her.
I don't know what that means, man.
Well, you can't trust Melanie, but you can always trust Melanie to be Melanie.
As well as Michael Keaton as the ATF agent, Ray Nicolette, who appears in the multiple Elwood Leonard stories, paired off with the LAPD detective, Mark Dargis. Jackie tries to play all sides off each other with a plan to trick Nicolette into letting her bring all of Ordell's money over. It's convoluted, involving multiple trips, bags, and people set up to be tailed, with Jackie eventually getting all the money to herself and taking off. The center of the film, though, is Jackie and her budding relationship with Max Cherry. Well, not exactly a relationship, it's unconsummated love between two middle-aged people. I think this is Tarantino's most elegant film. There's violence, but not the over-the-top vulgarities of his other work. The dialogue feels more naturalistic. Tarantino deploys the same chronological tricks from Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs to a more subtle end. The relationship between Max Cherry and Jackie Brown is definitely the most mature one I can think of in a Tarantino movie. Reservoir Dogs didn't even have any female characters. Pulp Fiction, the Vincent Vega, Mia Wallace flirtation is well written, but it goes off the rails in a way this does not. Pam Grier plays this perfectly. Her face is projected across the screen, at times flirtatious and solicitous, at other times wary and anxious, but rarely ever losing her cool.
What the fuck happened to you, man? Your ass used to be beautiful.
Before I introduce the panel, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Then hit that bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. Super chats are now open. If you have any pressing questions, send us a super chat, which helps me maintain the expenses for the show, which I am obligated by the rules of the Geneva Convention to stop everything and ask the panel. Another way to help us out is to become a patron and give us money every month. In exchange, you get access to all of our after parties, bonus content, and we'll tell you even more movies we watched recently. Patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. We have a Movie Night Extravaganza Discord. There's an invite link in the episode description, and we have a Letterboxd HQ account. So those are 2 more places to follow along with us. Okay, let me introduce the illustrious panel. Conan Neutron is the host of Protonic Reversal, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, and the frontman for the band Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. You can check out his music and hopefully buy some at neutronfriends.bandcamp.com. Kristina Oakes is a co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza and a Twitch streamer. You can find her streaming at twitch.tv/cosmopolitics. All of her social media accounts are also at Cosmopolitics. She's on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and even occasionally on Letterboxd. Kristina is now on This Space, thisspace.tv. Follow them on YouTube and Instagram to get the schedule. Josh Duggan is the host of Unkind Rewind, a podcast inspecting our film nostalgia, and Munch My Benson, the seminal SVU podcast. I, of course, am your host and local bail bondsman on the side, Forrest Miller. I lost my virginity on Cabo Airlines.
Well done. Congratulations. Well done. Back with congratulations.
They give you if you do that, you get to join the half mile high club. They're not going to give you the full mile.
Nice.
I don't know. Cabo Airlines is such a funny fake name for a company.
Well, Red Eye
I've seen worse, and my bandmates have flown on worse.
Yeah, Red Eye has
not me. I'm a gentleman.
Airlines.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like Cabo Air. You hear Cabo Air, and you're like, yeah, I'm not getting on one of those planes.
Sounds a little suspect. Yeah.
You think of
all
like
the
sand
that
crabs,
crashed.
like hermit crabs, like sand crabs running around on the airline. Like there's sand still on the seat when you sit down. You're like, Cabo Air.
Sick of all these damn hermit crabs on this goddamn MFN plane.
This is not the crab rave I wanted.
Yeah, Josh, welcome to the show. You love Jackie Brown. I love Jackie Brown. I didn't realize how much I loved it until I rewatched it. I was like, is this Quentin Tarantino's most quote unquote mature film? And it's his third one. I think it is, right? It's got to be.
It's becoming increasingly common to see this said. So I'm not going out on a limb here anymore, but I think this is his best movie.
It's really good.
Yeah, I think
it's just a good movie. It isn't Pulp Fiction's an experience, right?
Sure.
And we talked about Reservoir Dogs. I love Reservoir Dogs for what it is. There's Inglourious Bastards is great for what it is. Kill Bill is great for what it is. But this as just a movie is just wow, this is like him do a Howard Hawks movie or something. Mm-hmm. It's just a good film.
I remembered it being his best film, and then rewatching it, I'm like, this is actually his most I would call it elegant. It's a very elegant film.
No weird foot fetishing and all
It's still there. It takes 6 minutes for the first shot of a foot caressing
the first time you see Bridgette
and it takes
Fonda,
13 minutes for it to be mentioned on the show, so mark the time.
The first time you see Bridgette Fonda, it's a close-up of her feet, and it zooms out from there, which I'm fine with, because the movie is very tasteful. But, that is one of the first...
I wonder if that's if there's a list of trademarks and feet...
Oh yeah, they're definitely Reddit goes crazy with that kind of stuff. There's so much on Reddit about this movie. There's theories about my favorite was Ordell being the devil, and I 100% believe that. He is a perfect representation of a satanic figure. He's always trying to give everybody a deal. He's like, I've got a deal for you.
What kind of name? No, I mean, it sounds even like a devilish name, Ordell.
Yeah, Ordell Robbie. Margot's brother.
Yeah.
But also he's playing it being some big Godfather style kingpin, right? And I mean he's not. He's just he's a petty criminal. I mean there's the great Bridgette Fonda scene where he's he moves his lips when he's reading. You're gonna trust him on that? Which is amazing. It's what
the worst thing you could do when you're acting with a partner. You're mouthing lines. They're stop doing that.
Arguably, it's the worst thing you could do in general, anywhere, if you don't want people to think you're a simpleton.
Yeah,
it's the same thing as I think he stole it from this, but there's a famous quote that 50 Cent says about Floyd Mayweather, where he says he moves his lips when he reads, and he 100% stole it from this movie.
Well, it's from the book.
Yeah,
because I read the whole goddamn thing over the weekend. So I read the book, I watched the movie, read the book, and then watched the movie again. And just because I kind of wanted to see, I had a working theory that I'm pretty sure is right, in that I think this is Tarantino's best movie because it's Tarantino's least Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
There are entire scenes that are just dialogue straight from the book. And multiple, I would guess that at least 40% of this script, the dialogue is Elmore Leonard's.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to do Elmore Leonard, you can't
100%.
You have to take the dialogue has to be from the books. The books are always very well written. He's America's, everyone's pretty much agrees he's America's best crime novelist, right?
Sure.
You would be if you hacked up his work,
David Patterson
didn't take anything from it that he actually put in these books that people are really people have made so many of his other even his lesser his smaller works or whatever into into movies with the same characters too. There's another Michael Keaton movie where he plays the same character in a different ATF situation.
Yeah, it's
I just freaking watched that like a couple months ago, Out of Sight with
It's great. I love that
George
too.
Clooney and Jennifer Lopez.
Oh wow,
surprisingly good.
There's
Michael Keaton plays
really good.
the same character.
Yeah. There's something so 90s about the ATF. Like I feel like you don't hear about ATF now that we're in like the age of like gun control being kind of like the main fixation of a lot of different like intra-party debate. Like the ATF was one of those things that like radicalized
Waco,
the hard right in like the in the early 90s. So having like your guy be like, I'm not just a federal agent or a federal marshal, because I feel like a lot of 70s and 80s had a lot of federal marshals, but in like the 90s they started being like, I'm an ATF agent and I'm here to bust you for guns.
Waco, and then of course that led to Oklahoma City bombing, and that's very terrible. But anyway, this is the second movie that
blasting right past that.
Yeah. Hey, I watched a documentary recently and it made me mad. But is this not the second movie that Robert? Because we just talked Goodfellas, right? Robert De Niro,
Forster.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh yeah,
This is
dude.
their
De
second
Niro
movie
is
together.
so different in this, and I'm glad you picked up on that in the intro. Like at times you're like, oh yeah, that's Robert De Niro, isn't it? Like it's just
like
so
a bomb.
It's so hilarious that we just get so used to seeing people of that style and notoriety like do a thing, and like, oh, you're not doing the thing, you're acting, you're doing something different, or maybe you're not acting. I don't know, but you're being a different guy.
I want to spin off on those two. That'd be hilarious.
When you see
they're in a book higher.
Get interviewed, right? When you see De Niro have an interview with anybody with like on because I watched an interview he did recently with like Jimmy Kimmel. He gives them nothing. He's a lot more like the Lewis character when you actually see him get interviewed. Like more than any, like he's not like his his mob characters, because he kind of has that same stutter kind of thing going on where it's like that quiet voice. Like I feel like this is almost De Niro's most. I mean, I'm not saying
De Niro role.
Yeah, like he's very in this. He's very simple, and he's also very like the way he talks. Like he doesn't say very much, and it's all body language. It's all presence. You know what I mean? And
it's
like,
not stretching necessarily from who he is, but that's almost like comforting to see in a way. Like it's nice to see him get to play kind of himself and not like just a clear sociopath.
Yeah.
Well,
the whole De Niro thing is that he embodies every role that he plays to like
or like a meta referential version of a role that he played like 15 years earlier.
Which sometimes it's not now. It's very script related. Like if the script is giving him nothing, De Niro's not delivering his best performance either.
I remember when Jim Brewer was on SNL, he did the Joe Pesci show, and I think on like maybe the last one, hopefully, when Joe Pesci was hosting, they were acting like him and Robert De Niro were acting offended that they were getting mocked, and they're like, oh no, disrespect, and then Robert De Niro just starts beating the shit out of the SNL cast member who played De Niro in that Joe Pesci show sketch, and he's like, Bob, calm down. Joe Pesci telling Robert De Niro to calm down is kind of hilarious, if you ask me.
It is wild that we just did Goodfellas on Friday though, and like to have like one of his most iconic roles, and then like one of the roles that's most like kind of set against that at the same time, like so quickly in succession is kind of wild.
Yeah,
I noticed a lot of people like because I was really going in on Reddit theories, so I had like questions about this movie, like it's so like there's parts of it that are convoluted enough that I'm like, am I picking up on the right like thing in this, like and like the devil theory. But one of the things I noticed is people are like, yeah, I almost forget De Niro's in this, and it's like for some reason
I totally did, and I've seen this movie like 5 times.
I somehow
Robert De Niro's in this film.
I somehow
he's so overweight and rugged.
I was a teenager when I saw this. I think I was 13 when I first saw this. Like it was right around the time that I first saw Reservoir Dogs for the first time, and I think before I first saw Pulp Fiction. And I remember just it's being seared in my brain, just the scene where Melanie is walking through the parking lot going, Lewis, and he finally turns around and shoots her twice. And I remember that being seared in my brain because I just remember like being annoyed as like a teenager watching that and be like, yeah, like you gotta get that bitch. Like she's so annoying. She's mocking you. And I remember just feeling for him.
Very simple.
I saw it in the theater. I already had seen Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, and already lived on my own. So that's just if you want an interest in age discrepancy on this show, there you go.
Hey,
I was 18 when this came out. Yeah.
Hey Conan, you actually fit in the head of Jackie Brown.
Oh yeah. Oh,
and you have
and I've almost I go find a purple jacket. Then we'll
yeah.
There you go.
check out my rack, everybody. Thank you.
You know, I want to talk about the blaxploitation element because I feel like
everybody look at me and Forrest take a screenshot.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
We do some dumb things in this show, but that was,
hey, it makes it
that's up
fun.
there.
But I want to talk about like the blaxploitation element. Like,
Hell
I
yeah, she
remember
should've been.
I remember watching the I Love the 70s series on VH1, and they dedicated a whole like, you know, like portion segment about blaxploitation films, and it seemed like those films were almost looked down upon because there were probably like racist elements to them, obviously, but there was a lot of stars, believe it or not, that came out of that era. You know, you had the actor who played Blackula be.
There absolutely were racist elements to them. I mean, that's not they thought there were. There absolutely were.
Yeah.
And misogynist too. But
yes, obviously with the female. Yeah. But like a lot of those stars overcame a lot of that from that period. Because I mean, you had the actor who played Blackula be the king of cartoons on Pee-wee's, Playhouse.
Yeah.
Of course, you had Pam Grier has quite a career, but it's very underrated. I mean, even Beyonce's character in Austin Powers and Goldmembers, Foxy Cleopatra is probably a tribute to Foxy Brown.
Oh,
so the fact,
of course.
So the fact that this film was like, no, we're paying like homage and tribute and like looking at this from a different angle, to me is very important because some people, again, like either frown upon or they forget, but we gotta remember that there really wasn't a whole lot of black cinema back then because a lot of it was being directed by white folks and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So it took 30 plus years to finally get like directors who understood the assignment.
Yeah, I mean, like it's years and years before you have anyone like Charles Burnett doing like To Sleep with Anger. Right,
yeah.
Like there are people that come through. I mean,
you had Melvin Van Peebles, but
he
was one of the only only black voices who was able to direct. It was mostly like Jack Hill or Marx,
Cindy Lauper doing The Wiz,
and I hate to say it, but Sweet Sweetback's badass song is terrible. It's a horrible movie. Watermelon Man is good, but Sweetback is it's not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
you had
my heart.
you had like Dolomite back then, like as a kind of a
Soul Man?
No,
Dolomite.
Oh, well, I was thinking Soul Man. Remember that one, Conan?
I do remember. Yes,
they made that really interesting Rudy Ray Moore biopic with. Yeah, Dolomite is my name or whatever, and it was
that was good.
It was Eddie Murphy playing him that I thought was very like, as someone that doesn't like doesn't like biopics that much, I thought that one was cool because they had Eddie Murphy like recreating so much of his filmography at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I just watched Disco Godfather last week. Another Rudy Ray Moore movie that as unhinged as Dolomite was.
Those movies were interesting because he wrote so many of them, and he was able to acquire camera equipment and stuff on it like a very small budget to be like, all right, I'm gonna have a bunch of my friends gather around and I'm gonna punch someone, like do some like martial arts, but he didn't really get like any kind of martial arts training either for them.
No, it's dangerous.
Yeah, I also want to mention Michael Keaton. Because this was a time in the 90s where he's great in this, but his career kind of like after like Batman and Beetlejuice, like by the mid 90s, he kind of was going through like a little bit of like a slump period for like the next
multiplicity
decade.
Phase.
Yeah.
Multiplicity. Oh, damn. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was like him slowly getting back into the fold, doing supporting roles. And then by the 2010s, he's, our friend Adam McKay directs him and the other guys. And like he stole the movie apparently. So and seeing him do what was it, Birdman?
Yeah, Birdman. It was like his big comeback. But there's so many people in this that were kind of going through a career slump because Pam Grier, like at the center of this, right? Like she went from starring in all of these blaxploitation movies. Like I saw Foxy Brown I think when I got into this movie a really long time ago, but even that I don't remember that much stuff that happens in it besides her beating the fuck out of people. But Foxy Brown, there was a whole run of movies where she was literally the star, and you see her on the poster and you realize like that. Yeah, that's why she was like able to start. She's probably the most marketable person ever.
Yeah, well, because she had the skills, she had the charisma, she had the look, and but again, what she never was given is a vehicle of any kind that had what they call crossover appeal.
Yeah.
Right? And so basically, the people that knew who Pam Grier were like complete nerds like Quentin Tarantino, who probably worked at a video store and had access to all these movies, and were like, hey, yeah, the plot for this is not that great, and like, production value, but oh man, isn't she awesome in this? Like, oh yeah, she's badass. And everybody kind of universally agreed amongst that crew there being like a few people that are just, they're awesome. Richard Rafferty's another one, right? That you have like, oh, they're awesome, and for whatever reason, well, I know we all know the reason they weren't given a shot at the bigger movies around that time. So to have her, and again at this moment in her life, be given this role, not just a role, but this role with a character that is quite possibly one of the most badass characters Quentin Tarantino has ever had in any of his movies, and that is saying a lot because the guy likes putting cool characters in his movies.
Yeah, and Conan, to add to your point, Quentin Tarantino has described her as the first female action star.
Sure.
Which
right
probably is true.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to have something this well written and this well directed, well acted, and again, as an ensemble, Robert Forster was, crazily enough, she was not nominated for an Oscar. Yeah. Robert Forster who was amazing in a definitional badass supporting role, lost to Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting.
Ooh, tough one that year.
That's also a great performance. Is very different, but this is like the quintessential, like what we talk about every year with like what constitutes a supporting role. There's like, is it the Ned Beatty Network? Is it the Judd Hirsch and Fablemans where they just show up for a small amount of time and have a major impact to the story and are memorable? Or is it something, more where they're clearly not the lead, but they have an integral part to the story, so on and so on. And the way Robert Forster, who's no spring chicken, even in this film, he's been around for forever, right? He's just that guy actor.
He's basically the age. He's the age that Max Cherry is. So.
Absolutely.
I think he's 54 when he's shooting, but he's 56, I believe. Or no, never mind.
So I have a Robert Forster clip that I pulled that I think is really cool.
I've been an actor almost 50 years. There was a point in my career when I stopped getting work, and I was getting lousy work, and I had 4 kids, 2 ex-wives. I was trying to get the kids through college. I began to worry that this was not going to happen for me. I was going to have to think of some other way to make a living. The thing happened right here at this table. Over there walks in Quentin Tarantino. Now, I had read for him about 5 years prior for Reservoir Dogs, and I thought I killed that audition. I didn't get the part. 5 or so years later, maybe 6, whatever it is, he walks in here. He's walking into the restaurant. I yell at him, "Come on over." He comes over. He sits down. He starts BSing with me and Frank. Along the way, I said to him, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm adapting an Elmore Leonard screenplay called Rum Punch." He said, "Why don't you read it?" I did read it. 6 months or so later, I walk in, as every morning I do. I came out that door, Quentin Tarantino. He's sitting in my seat. And before I can even get to the table, he lifts up a script, he hands it to me, and he says, "Read this, see if you like it." No chasing, no nothing. This guy gave me a gift, the size of which cannot be exaggerated. And that put the career back into motion. Had that not happened, I was ready to jump at a moment's notice. You got to be ready, and you got to have a good attitude. And at that point, I had well understood and internalized that 3-step program. Accept all things, that gives you good attitude. Deliver excellence right now, that gives you the best shot at the best future you've got coming. And the reward of self-respect and satisfaction, and never quit. You can win it in the late innings if you don't quit. And by then, I was ready.
And that script was?
Jackie Brown. I'm Bob Forster, and that was my best story ever.
That rocks.
No nonsense type of personality. Love it.
Well, and
yeah,
it's
he
crazy
seems awesome. He seems like he has a great personality.
And that's one of the reasons I think why people like, Vince Gilligan and David Lynch like put him and stuff, I mean, Medium Cool. I don't know who's seen Medium Cool here. 1969, a young man. That was like the biggest kind of thing that like had any mainstream success. The definitional counterculture movie of the time.
Yeah.
Like he was always just kind of relegated to like, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I love. Well, first of all, I love anybody that is talking about like late career success and being happy with what they have. That always makes me happy as an old. But it really is. What can you say? Like, oh, he was robbed for the Oscar. Well, yeah, but have you seen Good Will Hunting? Robin Williams is kind of amazing in that. Too,
yeah.
So it's
I think he should have won the Oscar for Genie and Aladdin, but I digress.
Well,
hey, he improvised everything. What's not to love about that?
It's kind of crazy that I believe both Sam Jackson and Pam Grier were nominated for both the SAG Awards and the Golden Globes and didn't get nominated.
Did not. That was. I remember that was a big deal that year.
I hate when they do that. I hate they get everything but that Oscar nomination. I'm like,
yeah. They should be coordinating with each other at least to be like, hey,
hey,
if you get nominated for both these things, like you're automatically up in the running or something.
Hey, do you guys want to know a little history of Pam Grier's like dating?
Oh yeah,
sure.
I've looked into this before. It's insane.
So she met this basketball player called Ferdinand Lewis, who converted to Islam and changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah,
she was in a relationship with Freddie Prinze during Coffee, but with his history drug use, she was like, nah.
They stayed friends. And Freddie Prinze Jr.'s last phone call was Pam Grier.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's
wild.
Yeah, and then also Richard Pryor. Apparently,
she taught Richard Pryor to read.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like he got really famous as like a teenager before he really got into like a place where he was where he really learned to read. She like pretty much nursed him into like being the real star that he was, like, and
try to keep him sober, but he kept relapsing. So
well, I don't think you can't control Richard Pryor.
No, but yeah, her dating. When I was looking, I was like, "Whoa, girl, got it!" But you kept, saying no because you wouldn't convert to Islam, or maybe you could have helped Freddie Prinze still live, or whatever. Birth.
No, there's no. If someone's that determined to be like, has that much mental stuff, sometimes it's best to just walk away. The thing that I'm always blown away by with all of the men in her life, she stayed in touch with all of them. Like it doesn't seem like a single one of these relationships was like she walked away and it ended badly. Like she seems like one of those people that was still supportive of everybody, and she seems very grounded too. Like when you watch interviews with her, she's very grounded. She's very almost self-deprecating. Like she just has this style about her that's like so classy.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely.
That's why I want to get her memoir.
I'm sure it's fantastic. So,
Freddie Prinze Sr., by the way, not Junior. Freddie Prinze Jr.
It's his son.
That would be a little weird. Yeah.
Michelle Gellar's husband.
I mean,
Howard Stern, you're wrong.
Good on you,
you're
Freddie Prinze Jr. If that was.
I know what you did last summer, guys.
Respect to Freddie Prinze Jr. Honestly, I mean, hey, like respect. The first time I've ever said that in my life, by the way. By the way, other movies that came out this year before we close out the Oscars segment: Boogie Nights, Men in Black, Con Air, Wag the Dog, which we did in this very show, L.A. Confidential was very highly nominated.
Not starring Kevin
as
Spacey.
aforementioned, Good Will Hunting, and a little movie called Titanic.
Oh,
this was the Titanic year.
We gotta talk about that little movie soon, Conan.
And as good as it gets, winning like every major acting award, it felt like.
Yeah, which is like. Yeah. It was not. By the way, false advertising. It was not as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Been working on
that I want all the technical stuff, but
I think part of the reason this movie is also like overshadowed both in the conversation and just in general, like it's crazy to be like between the run that is Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, right? Like that on one like bookended on that side, and then Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2 bookended on the other side.
It's weird it didn't at least get a adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
But that year was L.A. Confidential 1, Donnie Brasco, Wag the Dog, and like Henry James novel and that. again, Sweet Hereafter, which is like okay, there was room for it.
I like Donnie Brasco, by the way, as a movie.
I do too.
Me
but
too.
like I'm saying Sweet Hereafter, Wings of the Dove.
Kristina, I just assumed you like Donnie Brasco.
Well, the next year, Scott Frank was nominated for adapting Out of Sight also.
Which is crazy because as I mentioned canonically on this show, I did see Out of Sight recently, which I liked. I was like, oh, this is good. But it's not nearly as good as Jackie Brown. I mean, fuck out of here. What are you doing? Like, I mean, it's not this competition.
It stands out among all the other movies that came out that year. Like like something specifically, and I feel like I do feel like there might have been a hint of racism involved, perhaps.
Well, but also L.A. Confidential was the best inadvertent ACAB movie ever, as we've established we did in this show. Like, that's not at all the author's intent, but it was hilarious that it's like, oh no, this is Elroy, whatever Elroy intended, it doesn't matter. This is the best ACAB movie ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good movies this year. Like Good Will Hunting is like another movie that kind of like withstands the test of time. I mean, I'm not saying it's amazing, but like it's referenced so much in the culture, right? Like it's pretty much everybody involved in that didn't have a career now has like an A-list career.
Yeah, I mean it's what it is. But again, you got to remember that it's just an interesting time for movies, right? This is Quentin Tarantino's third movie.
I know we're so old.
We're literally discussing a movie from the 90s, but
sure. Yeah, I know.
I saw all of these movies in that decade.
I would love to go to bed. That sounds great.
Conan, you know how many 25-year-olds, 30s old, and I'm like, excuse me?
But yeah,
it's years.
It's crazy. It's crazy, like the book ending, though, right? Like the book ending.
It's like barely fertilized egg, as far as I'm concerned. It's a timeless vampire. Thank you.
And like I don't know, it's a year after it's the year after From Dusk Till Dawn, which
that's right.
It's a movie that I think only gets referenced more within the within time. Like I think that Sinners like owes so much to From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, 100%. Google even said as much. He said as much in the interview. I heard him.
Yeah.
We said as much on the show, and he said as much in the interview. I don't know which one is more important.
He had both that letter that he wrote, which I think is amazing that he wrote that letter with all of his influences, where he like thanked everybody that pretty much he was influenced by, and he had both Tarantino
and Christopher
but he had both Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez on there.
Oh yeah.
Well, how could you? I mean, I think Sinners is amazing. I think Sinners is better than From Dusk Till Dawn, which I do enjoy.
Yeah,
but like
100%.
It's they're at a different scale, but the one would not exist without the other for sure.
Yeah,
So respect. But I think that this
probably had a budget 5 times adjusted for inflation.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking From Dusk Till Dawn. We're talking about a movie that literally ran out of a special effects budget by near the end. You can tell.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I feel like this movie's a little bit better.
Well, this is interesting too because for a Tarantino movie, it's not as violent as certainly Reservoir Dogs or even Pulp Fiction, right? So it gives up more of like the daylight noir sort of vibes, which is a great Elmore Leonard thing anyway, right? And that's something that it's interesting to see because it's been a long time since we did Noir Month, but we did do LA Confidential for Noir Night, and that was a different kind of noir as well. That's what became, and then they started calling it neo noir, right? And they're started being like these really. It reminds me of it in the record store. Oh well, that's actually post rock, and that's actually post
postmodern. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, just everybody wants to put something on a leader card, right? But it is something where it marked a turn in, whatever you would call the '90s run of like newer filmmakers taking a modernist take on exploring the same things that you see in like Double Indemnity and Sunset Boulevard and things along those lines. And the fact that Elmore Leonard is perfect for this, and it's one of the rare times that it's not something Quentin wrote himself, and the results speak for themselves. It's great.
The funny thing about the book is that more bodies drop in the book.
Oh, yeah, he
the book is more violent than the movie. Yes.
Oh yeah, wow.
There's a whole other side plot with Ordell where he's ripping off a white supremacist. And
for
so
him.
he has these jack boys who go with him, and it ends up being another at least 3 bodies drop.
Damn.
And it's set in Florida, but the Keaton's compadre, who's not LAPD obviously because it's in Florida, but it's like FDLE or something like that. But the local authority is shot in a separate. Oh no, that guy dies too. Okay, so there's 4 bodies that drop, and the other cop is shot too.
Dang. Well, again, that goes back to this being like a mature movie for Quentin Tarantino.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, probably his most mature movie.
Well, it's interesting because he was at the point, pretty much post Pulp Fiction, of like having like the blank check, like you can do whatever the hell you want. And what he decided to do is basically make his take on like a Howard Hawks style noir.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. It's like, wow, really? That's what you want to do? But this shows like what kind of film fan he is, because he's the first one to acknowledge influence, and the first one to to like homage it. Some people say more than homage. Okay, they're welcome to their opinion, but I think that it's this is just it's like an ensemble. It's impeccably. It moves along super quickly for a movie as long as this is. It moves along very quickly.
Yeah, couple of good fellas.
It's
right, exactly.
It's interesting that the last third of it, right? Like you have the heist part of it, or like dropping the money off and then stealing the money from like that part of it feels like almost like it goes by very fast. And I like the Rashomon thing where they do each character, like a very short version of each character experiencing what they experience on that day. Like that feels like one of those Tarantino things that works very well. But
ripped
that's
off
still
many times, unfortunately, to the point of comedy.
But like that feels like a very a well-earned kind of part of that. But it almost feels like so much of it is like, as Tarantino says when he's being interviewed about it, he said like the first hour is just experiencing these characters and like getting into their heads and just kind of meeting them and hanging out with them. And when people were talking about it's very funny to watch. I guess I'll probably play it later, but there's a clip from Charlie Rose where he's on a round table with a bunch of critics that were like talking shit about it, or that kind of criticize it, or I think one of the critics seems like he really likes it. This round table, he's talking about how he wanted to do this as an Elmore Leonard adaptation, not as a film adaptation, kind of. So he wants you to feel like you're hanging out with these characters and getting into their heads. So the first hour, and you see it's very 1990s because it's like they're complaining about it being 2.5. They're like, what movie is 2.5 hours? There's like little did you know, like a couple
all
decades,
of them now.
every movie.
Yeah. In hindsight.
Yeah, easy. Well, but there is such rich characterization, like you had it in the intro. But like the girls with guns, like he's watching them, like, and this is like Ordell's brochure for selling guns is like, this incredibly just hilariously dated like TNA gun catalog, I guess. I don't know what you would call it.
It looks like a year one UFC promo video.
Right.
Like it's so shitty. It looks so bad.
The production quality on it is it's perfect because that was the time, man. The early mid 90s, there was like that stuff was everywhere. So it's like it's so authentic in that way. And he does the thing where he's throwing it. Look, there's a great Roscoe's reference. Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles kicks ass. So who doesn't love it? What is it? The shopping center. It's like the largest indoor shopping center, and
which totally isn't and was not at the time.
Right. But it's like having these locations that are, again, because you said the book was in Florida, right?
Yeah, the book was in Palm Beach.
Yeah, that would have. No,
of all places.
No, it's a pass.
Well, I mean, Mexico is so big as a country that like you can either be in Palm Beach or in LA and still be like
they had flipped the Cabo thing to Mr. Walker was in the Bahamas.
Oh, all right.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a lot to keep track of with this, like the goings-ons, the back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. But I remember having seen this in the theater and seen it, shortly after Pulp Fiction, right? Like whatever timeline that was. I remember I better pay really close attention to all this stuff, and I was like, oh, I didn't need to do that.
Yeah,
like not in the way that Pulp Fiction was like asynchronously set. Oh, you can't follow the plot if you don't pay, you know, like it was like, oh no, this is like pretty straightforward plot, frankly. I mean, you got to keep track of like who's the bags are switching. There's that much money in hand, right? But like,
and what the plan is, because she switches.
Right.
Most still ATF, I guess maybe because it's the ATF and not like the FBI. You know, they're not as on top of their game. Yeah. But she's like, oh, I'm gonna switch the plan again, and everyone's like, I guess.
Michael Keaton is just still trying to take this sit in a chair like a normal human being challenge.
Yeah. Ray does kind of feel like a dipshit. And like I think it plays great, but
absolutely.
He like flips the chair over. He's wearing like goggles. He's like, okay.
And he walks into the leather jacket, and like the scene when she's come in to like finally say she'll turn on Ordell. When he's wearing that leather jacket, I just laughed so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's all over. Like, you know, I mean, she's bringing money a little at a time, but like $50,000 is not that. Like, that's not big crime money, which it works perfectly with Ordell not being like. I mean, he's kind of just like this
good money for working class, but not for crime.
This goonish kind of side. Well, yeah, I mean, for crime, for like organized crime, like organized. I don't.
Well, he thinks he's
like
going to be able to retire on $1 million.
Yeah,
he thinks he'll be able to retire on $1 million. Like that's so dumb. That's
adjusted for inflation, but
like I'm just gonna get my $500,000. I'm set for life, and it's like, dude, you're gonna blow through that, and he's keeping.
Don't go to the casinos.
He's keeping 3 different apartments for different women too. Like he just, and like, and it's not even like
2 now. One skipped out, so you don't have to worry about that one. But
and the older one that does the show, that one's the one that skips out. She probably has a walker, and she skipped out on him. Like,
but that goes back to saying earlier of just like he's kind of a loser. Right? Like, is he a hard case dude? Yeah, but he's also kind of a loser at the same time. Like, he's not. Again, it's not organized crime. It's not that organized.
And
that's
it's
more like disorganized crime.
Because exactly. Because you get a notion at the beginning of it when he's like, oh, well, everyone wants 45 because of the killer. Everyone wants that, and like and people want this because that. Oh, this is actually a better gun. But so he's like sounding very knowledgeable, especially if someone like, I don't care about this. I just want to like get high, maybe get laid, and like and go out and not be in prison. Like it's like, oh yeah, great, sounds good. It doesn't pass close scrutiny though if you like really stop and think about it. It's like, oh, he's just repeating stuff he already heard.
Yeah. Well, the funny part of it is when Melanie calls out, because Melanie seems like a real for not having any ambition, she's a real good judge of human character there. But during that whole like thing that she talked when she's trying to get Lewis to screw him over, she's like she doesn't think he's only ever sold guns to junkies. So it's him giving like these long, Samuel L. Jackson speeches where he sounds like he knows everything. He's blustering around, and then literally just some guy that wants to like do heroin and not shoot somebody, maybe like talk to him, being like, yeah, that sounds good. Whatever you just said, like.
Yes.
Yep.
Notable for a number of reasons. I also forgot that Bridget Fonda was married to Danny Elfman.
Still is, I think, right?
Yeah, I think she stopped acting in 2002, I think is her last role. Maybe 2004.
Yeah.
She's one of those people that gets like kind of Shelley Duvall, where like people track her down with a camera every few years,
and they're like, "Look how much weight she's gained."
Yeah, she looks like a normal person. And they're like, "Look at this hideous monster!" Gets out of whatever, and it's like
she's the granddaughter of Henry Fonda.
She's living a private life, just like the Oingo Boingo song, "Private Life." Thank you, man.
But like I mean, Danny Elfman, as much as he's in Oingo Boingo, like it's not like you have exactly like a. I mean, he's in a lot, like he's interviewed a lot, but like it's not like it's his face and look.
He's a name everybody knows, and then when people see him, they're like, "Whoa, he looks like that. He's jacked." Which he is. To be fair, he is jacked. But anyway, and the Melanie character is interesting too, because like you're just led to believe the entire time that she's just some ditz, just some like too high. Beach blonde, no, like not of any importance character. And I was like, oh no, she's a total schemer. Like she's like kind of sitting back in the cut and like waiting for a chance and stuff. And
which
that's really interesting.
Ordell is such a fuck up that like one of the first times you really realize how much of a small time loser this guy is when even Robert De Niro, who's like slow in this, like I think he got hit in the head a bunch of times in jail or something. Like he's pretty slow.
He used to be so beautiful.
Yeah. He used to have the prettiest face. No, but like even he's like, hey, I really don't think you should have this scheming woman living in your apartment. Ordell's like, nah, I got a handle on this. I know her. I know. And it's like, that's one of the first times I think you realize, like, this guy is kind of terrible and satanic, but like he's also kind of a fuck up. Like, she's right about that.
In the book, she like really tries to get Jackie to turn and to like basically go in together and rip all of them off. She kills people in the book. And basically bails out Ordell from a bigger fuck up when they try to rip off the Nazi. Like she ends up having to shoot the Nazi because Ordell like gets his ass handed to him. So
that's a line that I guess it makes a lot of sense when he's like, oh, it's great to have a white woman around. You know,
see what you just mentioned, Josh. That's too much plot. It's enough. There's enough.
Well,
plot.
that whole plot, like they excise probably. Tarantino cuts at least 30% of the plot out entirely. Because Max also when the book starts, Lewis works for Max and he's been foisted upon him. Like he doesn't want him, but like his insurance carrier is like run by the mob and is making them take on Lewis. So Lewis in the beginning is working for Max, which is way too much. Like that was, I think Tarantino made a lot of smart decisions and it still like let scenes breathe because there's a lot of plot that's just
sure.
Like,
I mean, you have it where like, you know, in Max's office and like, you know, De Niro's just sort of at large, like doing that thing some people do, like, I don't really need to be here, but I don't really know what to do, so I'm just hanging out in this room. Can I have some of this coffee? And then he explains how a smart key works.
Yeah.
Gives him the smart key. That's how old this movie is. And has him just go out to the car. But the best part of it, what does he say? Don't change my settings. I got to just the way I want them. Listen to music, but don't change my settings. And that is such a key. That's such a great Quentin Tarantino characterization moment. Right? Because it's like, it tells you shootouts with white supremacists and whatnot. I mean, okay, fine. But it tells you so much about those characters and those about the reaction, the back and forth, like the fact that he feels like a third wheel, which he is, you know, like all that. It's great.
Well, and Tarantino credits Elmore Leonard as the guy who like taught him that. You know, like reading Elmore Leonard was the like in the Elmore Leonard novels, like it's those little things, it's the small talk on the side that Tarantino like basically built a career off of. But that's like an Elmore Leonard thing that he cribbed, which I mean, you know, you should steal ideas like that. But
exactly. Good characterization. Steal away, please.
Because there's so much with Melanie too, like when the phone rings and she doesn't answer and then she goes off and like hello, sets the phone down immediately and says it's for you. Never. That's in the book just like that. That's like, it feels like a Tarantino thing, but that is just like that in the book because I mean Tarantino is so heavily influenced by Leonard that it just makes sense that it would be there. And then the second beat, that's actually all Tarantino riffing on Leonard. When she answers the phone the second time, comes back and doesn't say anything and has just set the phone down like on the counter. And there's someone on the line and she doesn't say anything until Ordell like, what's up with the phone? So that second beat is like Tarantino playing with Leonard kind of in a way that I think is really hilarious.
It's such a like a, you know, this is a person that's a dick that's pushing back against another person that's an even bigger dick, right? Like that is such a great way
dick measuring contest.
Where she's on the phone, you know, and she doesn't want to answer the phone. The one thing that she really has to do living at this apartment, getting high all day and, you know, whatever, like she's pushing back constantly against this fucking asshole that she knows is a loser and she knows is a fuck up. And the only thing she really has any power over is like, do I answer the phone or not? So it's like, no, I don't. And then the guy, you know, starts screaming at her. So she answers the phone and then just puts it down. Like you get into the mindset of her almost immediately.
Absolutely.
But like Elmore Leonard took these two characters, you know, from The Switch, like from 2 decades earlier, like a novel where, you know, like Ordell and
or the three characters.
Lewis.
So it's Ordell, Lewis, and Melanie. All three of them are from the Switch. Yeah.
And they kidnap some wealthy woman or something. And in that novel, you get the understanding. I mean, I need to read his novels. I haven't, but within this novel, my understanding is that, you know, these are two very minor kind of fuck up characters in that novel too. Yeah. Like they're small time criminals, and you know, Ordell's managed to, I guess, rebrand in the crime world himself in Jackie Brown into, like, you know, at least pretending he's like this big gangster guy that, yeah,
in a way that he doesn't look like a dipshit to the other dipshit Lewis.
Yeah,
the bigger one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He can still like pick out a mark, and in this case, his mark is Lewis, to get Lewis to do his dirty work for him.
And Lewis kind of, I mean, there's almost like a worshipful quality to the way that Lewis treats him in the beginning of the movie, where he's like, you know, Melanie's like, oh, you want to fuck, and then he feels really bad about it, and he like spills it out to
that scene's great.
Yeah, where he's like, oh, I did, and he's like, I hope you feel bad about it. But you can literally hear Ordell talking to Melanie, being like, he's been in jail for 4 years, you know, like you can hear him hinting like, just give him, throw a fuck his way, you know, like.
right, yeah. It's such a jarring scene, but it plays with the dynamic of what you think you know about both those characters.
Yeah, and because you think it's his like proper girlfriend, when, you know, he's all over town.
Yeah,
exactly. She's
banging whores.
He's dating the adjunct member of the Supremes. You know, like
but he's doing it in the
from Alabama or whatever. You know.
Yeah, he's doing it in the most like he could be out there banging whores, and he could be out there, you know, like doing it that way, and kind of leave like. But he's doing it the way where he sets each woman he's fucking, like, sets them up in a crib and with like a house, and like pays, like he's doing it in the most like look at me, I'm a pimp kind of way, and it's like throwing his money away, which is why it's
I'm the father who stepped up, kind of, not really.
But like it's why it's hilarious that he thinks that he's going to be able to like retire on $500,000. It's like,
good luck with that.
Yeah.
A little investing.
Can we switch gears for a second? Just talk about the masterful music direction and placement in this, because first of all, it's incredible, and to take something like Across 110th Street, which literally had a movie. There was a movie called that Bobby Womack song, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And to like rip it from that and from its context and place it so eloquently, not just once, because you get that opening kind of like, it's like The Graduate almost, right? Where it's bookended. It's kind of sad and sort of like pensive and then at the end you have it. You have it again. Spoiler alert for a movie. It's like over 30 years old, right? That we have the Robert Forster, Pam Grier like goodbye scene, which is, and he basically he picks up on that one client and basically be like, I got to call you back. I got to spend some time being depressed. You know, is more or less what he says. And then you see it again as she's leaving, which is like triumphant. So you get this amazing song, this amazing Bobby Womack song. Again,
she made it across 110th Street.
Used for a movie, and to have it like be completely recontextualized and brought forward to like an entirely new generation, and just in an iconic scene. To say nothing of the Delphonic song used multiple times over, like when Ordell was like, "You're into the Delphonics?" It is like, pretty good.
Yeah. Well, the
Sam Goody, he goes to Sam Goody. Yeah. Which is amazing.
It's one of those things where, I mean, you know, he says to her in this one scene, you're rationalizing, but he falls head over heels for her, which, I mean, who the fuck wouldn't, right?
Understandable.
But like, there's a large amount of this thing where it's Max Cherry falling head over heels for this. I mean, she always has a scheme up her sleeves. I think she's a legitimately good person, you know, throughout this, but she always has, like, she's surviving, you know, and that's where the, you know, Across 110th Street, like a song about struggling to survive in this
and
in this
time
world
slipping away from you too, in that same way, and he's like watching her leave. Which is sort of like, the whole time you're like, come on, dude, like get it together, like
because he also says
it's so perfect, and that's the daylight noir of it all for me.
He's daydreaming this entire time, Max Cherry, about how he's going to leave the bail bondsman trade, and he's going to, and you know that, like, in his mind when he's talking about this stuff, he's going to go off into the sunset with her, and they're going to like live together, and then at the end he realizes like he's just too set in his ways. He can't do that. He's like he's in his 50s. He's kind of stuck here. He has Winston to you know, what's Winston gonna do without him? Winston needs a guy to hang out with at work. Like, so he kind of makes that realization where it's like he's been romanticizing and daydreaming, and I think that they both kind of in a way fall in love with each other. Like, you know, at least like, and I think she would have gone into the sunset with him. I mean, I don't think it would have lasted very long. I think they, you know, or necessarily, but like she would have let him come with her in the end. But he realizes like it's just not going to work. He's set in his ways. He's a bail bondsman, and it's like a heartbreaking moment because it's heartbreaking when one person goes off and the other person is like really like leaves the other person. But that's not what happens. It's somebody realizing that like the best thing for both of them, or the best thing, you know, for his own, you know, where he is, I guess, in life, is that he has to stay back. And
I think he also had to make take such a like fundamental like move against his character in general. Because he is the upstanding guy, and like he did basically like I mean, I don't think he thought Ordell was going to make it out of this alive, and he was doing it for her. But I think that there's like one transgression too far to like be able to like build something good. And he just knows like if he leaves it like this, at least he has the memory of this, like, you know, he did her a solid and it's a positive, like she gets to go off into the sunset and he can, you know, keep his life that he isn't happy with. But like, I think it would poison the memory if he went with her.
He gets to be the quintessential white knight, right? Like he gets to feel chivalrous. Sure. He gets to feel like without
racially too.
Yeah, I mean, no, literally, like, literally the white knight. But like he gets to feel like he gets to feel what he wanted to feel, which is he's a chivalrous person who got to you know, put it all on the line for a person that he fell in love with. But then she gets to walk away, and he gets to have that like wistful, depressed, but also like aren't I kind of such a good guy kind of thing, which when you're in a business as grimy as the bail bondsman thing, despite being like, you know, a fundamentally good person, I'd assume sometimes you do need that. You need that like feeling like maybe I'm not as much of a scumbag as as my position. Like,
there's like some casual epiphanies when he's like describing what the job is to her, right? Like, like you were sitting in some guy's house, and it's like, well, he didn't show up. You know, it's just like, no, that's not the point. The point is you're waiting for a dude inside his house.
Well, he's like, I was holding my stun gun and I was getting, and then she's like, what do you do with this gun done? Well, I pointed at him and I stun him and then I take him to jail. And it's like,
cuff him, take him away,
cuff him and drag him away. Yeah.
But that's like, he's like, so I'm doing that. And she's like, no, wait. Can we go back to that for a second?
Yeah.
Like,
and he's treating it like it's an average Tuesday, which it is for him. And like,
and the place smells like cats. It's one of those places you don't want to be. And it's like, but you're sitting there with a stun gun and you're going to drag this guy to jail.
Exactly. In the dark. You're sitting in the dark with a stun gun to drag him to the jail.
That's a Tuesday for me.
but all that plays out so well because again, we as the audience get to like engage with like, oh, that's what this guy's life is. Like that's what like he's, you know, and because he's like
he would want to leave it.
Right. And like he's a cross between like, you know, a very sad man and also just like, you know, that kind of stoic, like kind of old school, a man is his job kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. It's very neo-noir too. Like
it is, especially when he mentions, you know, talking about the cops and he's like, oh, you know, he probably isn't into, he's more and probably not into getting the money. He's probably more into getting the bust.
Yeah,
you know, and that's such a that was a scene that really kind of, I was like, oh yeah, interesting. He's probably right actually, because if you stop and look,
he's having fun playing cop. Yeah,
because you guys, like again, what we said, right? The guy's not like an FBI agent; he's an ATF agent. Like, this bust of like this fuck up, you know, drug dealer is probably like the pinnacle of like this guy is going to be eating out at the you know at every strip mall on this story, dining out on it for the next 20 years.
Because for this like just middle management style gun runner, more or less, right? Where it's, and that's something where you get that little flash of like, oh well, he didn't always do this. Like there's probably a path. There's a whole movie and a half probably of how he got to be where he is right now. But you get a handle on his character and like how he is, which is why it's interesting when you see him wrapped up in Jackie's plan, and pretty elegantly carrying out his piece of it. That it's like, oh wow, like it's like she has that level of influence on him. And for good reason. I mean, look, understandable.
I mean, she's
because it's
so
not just
beautiful.
that she's beautiful. She's very beautiful, but like she's cool. She's smart. She's undefeated.
She's so cool in this that when she loses the few moments where she loses her cool are like jarring. Like,
oh my god,
jarring.
yeah.
Like the first scene where she gets back and she realizes, she's very jumpy with the whole conversation and she's trying to get information out of Max Cherry about Ordell and who was killed and all of this stuff. And then she gets back to her apartment and she's stolen the gun from Max Cherry's car, and she knows what's about to happen to her if she doesn't, if she's not on top of it. And so when there's a scene in the dark, which is so you see their shadows and stuff, and then you see Samuel Jackson's hands go around.
Well, you see her practice it first.
Yeah,
she's practicing her quick draw, which is an amazing scene because that's you never see that in movies where they're practicing when the person comes.
Well, that's later on. I'm talking about
later. This is the split screen.
Oh, you're talking about the split screen. Oh, yeah. Okay, sure.
No, that too. But no, I love that scene, and I definitely want to talk about that. But what I'm saying is, there's that moment where she's stolen the gun out of Max Cherry's car, and you see Samuel Jackson's hands go around her throat because it's right after you've seen him kill Beaumont, Chris Tucker, and the last thing he says is "damn." And no, you see his hands go around her throat, and then and you realize what he's about to do, and then you hear, and then he's like, "Is that gun pointed at my dick?" And she's like, there's that moment where you realize and she starts yelling, and that's one of the few moments in this where she breaks her cool, despite the fact that she's clearly in over her head. She's not a bad person. She's someone who's in over her head, trying to make the best deal that she can for herself, trying to survive through this. And still that moment where she breaks her cool is a jarring moment because you're like, oh shit, she's intense in this moment.
Because the rest of the time she may be kind of operating, she may be figuring it out, but she's not. She knows what she's doing. She's not trying to be cool. She is cool, and there's a distinct difference.
Whereas Ordell's
nothing wrong with that.
Ordell's trying to be cool and is not cool.
Well, absolutely. When he tries to backpedal in that same scene where I was just coming to hang out. Yeah, with your freaking Suspiria gloves? Are you kidding me? What are you you're fooling here, bro.
I love that those are his getting business done gloves. Come on.
Yeah, it's just freaking ridiculous. And it's
those are when the heat comes after him, you see he imagines himself throwing the gloves. He's like, oh, they're after me. Yeah. They're his OJ gloves.
Right, exactly.
Oh no, don't say that.
But I think that's but it tells you so much you need to know about both characters. And I like that it isn't like a Snake Plissken situation where you're hearing how cool Jackie Brown is before you see her. You see it. Because you don't need that. You don't need that when you got Pam Grier in a role that she honestly should have been in roles like this for her entire career.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we all know the reason, that was not the case.
What was the reason? We all know.
They remind her of what the reason is throughout this entire movie. They're like, you're a 44-year-old black woman.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's one of those meta kind of things where it's reminding everybody why an actress like this her career, despite her being brilliant, was just as disposable as it was. You can see that as a testament to her too. It's as a 44-year-old black woman, what are your prospects really?
Wow, Forrest, I can't believe you would say that about yourself.
I know. I'm a 44-year-old black woman. What can I say? No, but throughout the scenes and they're using that her race and her gender as pressure to get her to flip, and it's a lot of this stuff doesn't feel good for anybody involved. The same thing with Max Cherry as a bail bondsman. The bail bondsman thing, you have to cover yourself in this disgusting crime stew in order to get yourself, your daily bread or whatever. And it's what is somebody supposed to do in a situation where they're legitimately a good person, or see themselves as a good person, and yet in the situation, or the ATF thing being trying to hold somebody down using their race and their gender as leverage.
Yeah, and
that's upcharging 2 ounces of coke.
Yeah,
to intent to distribute and bullshit like that, where it's come on, man.
They love doing that shit though.
Yeah,
they love being the leverage is that we found a little bit of coke, but it's just enough that we can pretend that you're a drug dealer and not what you are clearly is someone trying to make ends meet and doing it in a bad way.
You just reminded me of a scene that I just noticing from a mechanical perspective of the movie. there's a great split diopter shot in the courtroom. Do we all know what that is? Where it's like the Jaws, where you have like the guy in the foreground, you have the shark in the background. Like like they're used all over the place.
The rack focus.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of famous ones like throughout film, but like, I was like, oh yeah, that's so cool to like show her that way, where you see her like clearly in focus, being like taken out of her element of being like stylish and being cool, and but like also being like very resolute at the same time as she like stands mute. Is that what they say? And the guy in the front's like opining.
Yeah, I'm getting it visions in my head like as you're saying. It's like the shot pops right into my head. Yeah.
And like, oh god, it's a very well shot scene. It's just like, hell yeah, that's good. And that's something that weirdly, people want to talk about certain things with Quentin Tarantino, and it's like the guy does like good filmmaking. Like it's just good filmmaking. I mean, that's something that,
especially if you're in defeat.
There it is.
Bingo.
But like that deep focus stuff, like in using it narratively, because she's not saying anything, she's standing mute. She would not be saying anything.
Yeah.
So, but you get the whole story.
Just I knew that like a lawyer, like my client was just to stand mute. Like I didn't realize that was like a lawyer phrase until I saw it.
Which is funny.
And the judge in that scene. The judge in that scene is from like Foxy Brown and Coffee and all of that. Like,
I was gonna say, yeah.
Sid Haig.
And so it's funny that never came up during the whole month of criminal justice movies we did. But yeah, but it tells you the whole story. Tells you the whole story without saying anything, right? She does it with a glance, and it's specifically because you see like the action in the foreground is what's happening to her, and then you see like her basically being very resolute about it. And like I was like, God damn, that's some good movie making right there.
Well, and it did stick out to me. She's so put together in all of these scenes. She's so like meticulously put together in all these scenes that it hits you really hard, where she's in the courtroom and she's not put together because she can't be, because she's been in jail. And it's the same kind of explanation you get with the Beaumont character, where it's like Beaumont ain't got a doing time kind of disposition. Like I mean, she definitely doesn't either. Like he's working with people that like I can't see her having a life in prison. Like her whole thing is like, about her own level of control and the control that she can wield to better her situation. And it's like throwing her into the opposite of that is so antithetical, I guess, to anything that she really represents as a character.
Which is why it's so great for the handoff in the store. She gets the suit, which she does look amazing in, and every character feels the need to comment, wow, she really does look amazing, though. Yeah. It's done so well. It's done so well because it's so obviously true that it has to be commented on, right? And it's something where even when they're talking about like an outline, it's like, well, I wanted to get the suit. I had to pay for it.
I love the Michael Keaton, which Michael Keaton really does act almost like an alien in this. Like,
he's a genuine freak in this. Yes.
But like he's like, you sit there, he's like, if I had this hanging over my head, I don't think I would have been able to sit around and go shopping. I might have done that later. And she's like, but I wanted the suit. I was there early and I wanted the suit, and I've been eyeing the suit and I've wanted it for a while. You keep making me go to this mall to do like fake handoffs, and I saw the suit there and I wanted it. And he's like, well, I might have gotten it. Like, I don't know, every time I think of him, I think of like his arms just crossed in like a different position where he's like,
oh yeah, I mean his body language is freakish in this, but like even like Melanie meant like when they're doing the handoff mentions it. Okay, well we all agree. I'm glad we all agree that she looks good in the suit.
Yeah, this feels like a Seinfeld bit. She looks good in the suit.
She looks good in the suit.
You look great in the suit, Jerry, but that's not the point of what I wanted.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that like sometimes there's a movie where like it's named after a character. Like, why is it called that? Like, it's named after that character. In this case, of course.
Imagine they called this one Lewis.
And I've been like, wait, what?
It has to be played as a comedy, But again, in this case, I'm going to hammer home the fact that she's the right actress at the right age, at the right moment in her career, at the right time with the right director. It's perfect.
Well, you could really tell when a role is written for somebody. I feel like.
Oh yeah. And can you imagine? Can you imagine Eric Stoltz telling Pam Grier to shut up?
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, I'd be like, come on.
I mean, this is the guy who could have been Marty McFly, but he just wasn't vibing, and Michael J. Fox came.
He was
Like,
playing
I like
it
Rosanna
with
Arquette,
drama
but
or something.
I'm not fully convinced that Rosanna Arquette could take Stoltz necessarily, whereas Pam Grier would kick his ass.
Yeah.
There's not a doubt.
I do really like the I like the idea that when she's talking about her former husband that wanted like the surrender Dorothy scene in After Hours.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, I think this is so clearly written for her, which makes it even like the humility, I guess, of that interview where she's like, "Oh, I was looking for a smaller part, thinking like I was going to be cast another smaller part," and then Tarantino calls her on the phone and says like, "No, you're Jackie Brown. Like I wrote this for you.
You're the lead, baby."
Yeah, but it's
but that just doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
First of all, for women of a certain age. Secondly, for black women.
Yeah,
because he changed the race of the character. Like in the book,
yes,
she's a blonde stewardess.
Yes.
So it's he like really went out and was just like, no, I'm taking my cachet and I'm gonna make Pam Grier the mainstream like box office hit that she should be.
And weirdly, somehow does an homage to blaxploitation without being blaxploitation or being like vulture like with it, which is
no
kind of stunning. Yeah, I mean, frankly, because
there are a lot of needle drops from because like even
Yeah.
like the song that's playing when she comes out of the fitting room, that's also from that's from Coffee. And that's from a scene that, so I mean, he's definitely like, there are tons of homages, but it does not play like a blaxploitation.
Yeah,
even
like
the,
it's
even
not
the hotel bar where they go, where it's in her neighborhood or whatever, where she's drinking with that's a reference to Coffee too. Like there's all these little small like Easter eggs within this to like the different
like
Pam
we're
Grier.
paying tribute to Pam's career. Let's go.
They even use a song that she sang in the 70s, and she
really?
didn't know. She didn't know that it was going to be in the movie until she saw it for the first time and was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's like him putting her up on a big pedestal, like, "Hey, this movie's literally for you and only you.
Yeah.
No one else
By the way,
cares to you."
People
She should have been Oscar nominated. Sorry, I mean, she
because of like just whatever, because of the Spike Lee moment where he was calling Tarantino out for this movie, and it's crazy that it's this movie for being a white guy writing the N-word into dialogue. Like that whole thing happened during the press run for this movie. I mean, it's pretty funny that it didn't happen during Pulp Fiction, where literally it's white guys saying the N-word. But like this movie, which feels like it's so much a part of the culture, to the point where Tarantino decided that for the entire press run he was going to wear a Kangol hat, and he was sitting there wearing it.
Well, and there's footage of him on set also wearing a Kangol hat.
Yeah,
so he was wearing it while he was directing.
Yeah,
also.
well, he bought Pam Grier and himself matching Kangol hats. They're both wearing the same style Kangol hat. He actually contacted the company.
I somehow missed that when this came out, but that's amazing.
Yeah,
all right.
He literally contacted the company and was like, "Hey, Kangol, we're doing a lot for you here. Can you send us some free hats?"
Wild too. We talked about Pam Grier auditioning for that minor part in Pulp Fiction. Robert Forster, he read for the Lawrence Tierney part in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I saw his interview about this movie. But yeah, that's crazy.
That would be like a completely different movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and not in a bad way, just would be a completely different movie. Like that's crazy. I mean, it makes sense, really, but
he's like 55 during this, right?
Yeah.
So he would have been 50 as the Lawrence Tierney character. They probably should have gone with him. His attitude's great. Lawrence Tierney's attitude was not great, famously.
Yeah.
He is one of the most difficult, as they say, to work with, character actors in Hollywood. Which you don't want to be a character actor that's difficult to work with. Like,
no, you just don't work.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Apparently, and this could be apocryphal because it's from the IMDb trivia section, but apparently, like De Niro and Tarantino also didn't really get along, especially early on, because De Niro didn't feel like he had a lot to do here. And I will say that his character is the character who has the most in the book that is excised from the script, to where like he's kind of left with not a lot to do.
right,
and not a lot of characterization. Like,
vibing, you know.
Yeah.
He'd be vibing. He'd be shooting. He'd be.
I mean, I
at
love
some
him
point.
in this, but it is the least like well-rounded character of the bunch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, like
apparently he also like just looking up believed he should have been paid more.
Also, this is right before he did Meet the Parents, so this is when he was starting to do like more comedy and.
Well, you know who was originally up for the role? Sylvester Stallone.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, didn't he do where did Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle come? That was after this too, right?
Probably I blocked that from my memory, but
yeah.
All right, maybe it's not under discussed on front porches. I literally just gave him on the front porch about Tarantino in this movie with Matt Gilbert with his neighbor. Maybe it's the most discussed front porch Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Front porches represent.
But yeah, like I think it's interesting that De Niro. I don't know, like
prima donna.
This is like a movie out of all movie. I mean, he's used to like Scorsese putting him front and center and everything.
Yeah.
And in this, he does kind of just sit around for most of it. I mean, it works for the character. It makes a lot of sense. But like, there's so much of it that's just like, oh, like we bought De Niro some new clothes, and then he comes in and he's like,
There he is. Got him on, I'm wearing them.
It's like, hey, did you know Robert De Niro's in this movie? Yeah.
And then the other thing where he's sitting there, she's like, you want to smoke some weed? And De Niro, and she's like, no, you got to take your hand off the carb on the bong. And he's like not doing that. He doesn't really know how to smoke weed. He's got to be like slightly brain damaged or something after 4 years.
Yeah.
Like
He also laughs 3 minutes, which maybe doesn't make him feel great.
That's the real moment that he decided he was going to kill Melanie.
Oh man,
this broad knows that I only last 3 minutes, and like it's such a it's like the least sexy it's kind of they're opposite thing because it's unconsummated between Pam Grier and Robert Forster, like that whole, but there's so much just you could cut that sexual tension with a knife throughout the whole movie, and then the actual sex scene within this movie lasts 3 minutes and does not. It's like the least sexy sex scene you've ever seen. Whereas like the long,
you're not supposed to be sexy. That's the thing, you know.
But I'm saying like it's such an interesting scale of human sexuality where there's nothing sexy about the way that he shoots the feet is sexier than the way that he shoots the sex scene between Robert De Niro and and Melanie. And then the
well, he might be telling on himself there though.
Yeah, but the tension between Pam Grier like as Jackie Brown and Max Cherry is so palpable. Like it's like
Rio Bravo is a movie that Quentin Tarantino mentioned often with this in that same way of it being kind of like the plot being secondary to it being like a cool hangout movie, which is what we're talking about, right? It's like one of the parts that we're all noting are like the parts of the characters are hanging out together and like interacting and whatnot, and that that's something he excels at, and I think that's something that we see that over and over again with his films. But I think it's never more relaxed, if that's the right term, than it is in this one.
I think
you really sit in a scene a lot in this. Like there are tons of scenes where you really sit in it way more. Films are like punctuated with more like directorial flair, and like this is just like, nope, we're just gonna set the camera and maybe it'll be like a 2-shot, but like that, like they're not. It's not like a bunch of like in Reservoir Dogs, they're hanging around the table at the diner or whatever, and you've got the full like 360 spinning pan, or like he would have felt the need to make them flashier, and he doesn't here, and it's honestly refreshing.
Yeah. There's a subtlety to the filmmaking in this that you don't really get in other Tarantino movies. Even as he does all the things that are like his things, like chronologically splitting things up, changing them, different perspectives. It still feels a lot more subtle. It feels like literally using it's not a Tarantino movie. It's a movie directed by Tarantino. He's not the stepfather. He's the father that stepped up.
Yeah.
But it's
even like title cards are pretty boring. or not title cards, but the
interstitials.
Yeah, the interstitial title cards. Those, not the opening titles are, an homage, but all the interstitial title cards, all the like chirons, like it's not heavily stylized where in another movie it would be. In Kill Bill, it would be.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. Well, and that's again, it's weird to talk about a movie being relaxed that has this much
Tarantino movie.
Intrigue and like is still plenty violent. To be clear, it's just not like just chaotic.
Killing Nazis here, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right? Exactly. Yeah, it's no Inglourious Bastards. But it is relaxed and it feels that way, and that's one of the reasons why you really get a chance to appreciate the characters, especially how understated Forster's character is. Like, and again, a criminal that Pam Grier wasn't nominating, because how amazing would it have been if she like won the Oscar, like the first Black woman to win the Best Actress award. Would have been incredible.
Yeah,
but he is really good. Forster's really good in this, and again, in that way that I mentioned earlier on, is a different kind of supporting actor presence than the person that shows up and does the thing is intrinsic to the movie. This is like he's just doing the work. He has like his sad eyes. He has his resigned eyes, and it's like he's just sitting there matter-of-factly talking about hanging out in a dude's house in the dark with a stun gun and doesn't think that that's weird. Great work. It's awesome.
yes, Matt, there's feet in this movie.
Well, no, we talked about it. This is the first time you see Bridgette Fonda. That's the only.
He was on the porch. You don't know from it.
Yeah. Yeah, the first time you see her, it's a zoom out from her feet. But I think that like the subtlety of this really works. I do wonder how much of it is, and I think this is self-imposed on Tarantino's part. Good for him, but like not giving Tarantino too much time with the script, because you can look at something like Reservoir Dogs. He had forever to work on the script and to tweak it and whatever, because he was just working at a video store at the time. And then you have Pulp Fiction, right? Like he's in the middle of writing it and he's writing all this cool stuff. Like this I think it's 6 months that he took to write the script, and he used a lot of the dialogue from the actual book. I wonder how much of the subtlety really is the fact that like too much time marinating on the script, because after this it would take 6 years to make Kill Bill. You have to imagine how much like labor really went into Tarantino being like, I don't like this. I think I'm going to change this to this and this to this, and like moving stuff around. Sometimes it's not good to have too much time marinating in your own creative juices,
Well, but he's a big Tarantino that is big Elmore Leonard fan too, right?
Yeah.
So that's almost like
I'm just going to be faithful to the source.
Yeah. I'm not like, I'm just saying like it's interesting when you look at something like Kill Bill, which is like one of the most Tarantino of Tarantino movies, right? Like he does all of the things, but you look at something like Pulp Fiction, where he had like years that he was working on that script. Again, the same kind of thing. With this, it's kind of 6 months. He took a lot of the dialogue from the actual book, like a well-written, great author kind of like thing. Like you can see that versus like Tarantino kind of having too long to marinate something like these ideas in his head.
Well, it makes you kind of wonder what happened if he like would have like stuck with doing this sort of daylight noir crime stuff rather than like get into the martial arts and the westerns and the World War II stuff, and which I like all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but like, what if he had settled into that, and what would that look like? I don't know. I mean, it could have turned out like Guy Ritchie. Ooh. Guy Ritchie, everybody.
Oh man,
Rubber of Aladdin.
But a lot of the stuff with Tarantino is like that he doesn't have he never really settled down on a genre. Like he's always messing around with new genres and messing around with new stuff.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm like none of this is criticism. I'm just saying, like, just from thinking of
pick a genre, Tarantino.
Yeah, like he's someone that's so into filmmaking. Like he really is like the filmmaker's filmmaker, and it's like
for sure.
I don't think he could have just settled down and kind of developed his own like this is my blend of things that are my thing. He's always trying something new, and he's always trying like a Tarantino version of this subgenre that everyone's like, yeah, I like those kinds of movies, but they haven't done them in a while, like westerns, like
yeah. Well, and that's, I don't know, probably more to our benefit as a society of filmgoers that, like, he doesn't want to settle on that. I mean, I'm I changed my opinion on Tarantino a couple times over the years, and I don't think he's ever made a bad movie, and I think all his movies are interesting, and there's ones I like better than others for sure. But I mean, spoiler alert, I think this one might be at the top, and if it's not, it's like top 3 at bare minimum.
One thing that I'm so glad that this isn't what happened. But he said that he liked that Lewis character, and he was like, if I was a few years older, I would have played that character. And I'm like,
oh no,
I'm so happy you didn't.
The hard pass.
I don't think he could convincingly sit there and smoke weed and be like, he'd have to like jump up and be like pacing around, being like,
he's a pretty active dude. Yeah, it's not really
his manic energy wouldn't have fit that.
He could play the Chris Tucker role just fine.
Yeah. I had a problem with that scene because I used to live in that neighborhood, and and it was like, or the neighborhood it was supposed to be, and it was like, there has not been a vacant lot in that neighborhood, it's because Hollywood and Western's like in the middle of like East Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, there's not been a vacant lot there in 30 years. I'm sure of it.
Well, that's like, I mean, Tarantino's the place out of everywhere in Hollywood that he was most hanging out. I feel like, or out of LA was Hollywood, right? Like I really, I can't see Tarantino. I mean, this movie's a lot of it's supposed to be in like Compton, and he's like hiding out in Compton, and it's like,
well, and he grew up in Venice, so he was a West Sider too.
Yeah.
West Side.
I do like the line though where he's explaining how like,
I always love when a white girl says that. Thank you.
But I like when he's explaining how like country that girl is, and he's like, oh, I took her to Compton and convinced her it was Hollywood.
Yeah.
And she still thinks it's Hollywood.
No. It's good. It's good. Something else that's good is Letterboxd, a social media site for film lovers talk out with and to each other about the films they love, maybe the films that they didn't love, maybe the films that, like most Tarantino movies, they're just ad nauseum quoting dialogue back and forth to each other and an endless Ouroboros throughout all time. And of course, everybody gets to have their say. It is a bottom-up democracy. It's not Siskel's and Eberts of the world that are chiming in and opine. Everyone gets to get to have their chance at writing their own dialogue, if you will, about the movies that they love. And that is this bit where they're collected weekly for Forrest on the panel to react to. And that's what this is. These are Letterboxd one-liners for Jackie Brown. Let's go. If Jackie Brown scams me, do not prosecute her. She caught me slipping. That's on me.
Touché.
I mean, she only really scams the people that deserve it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
It's not her fault you were a gun runner. Like,
it's not like it was someone's life savings.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna victim blame over here.
Your Honor, the victim was an asshole.
Your Honor, the victim had gotten too big for his britches.
Your Honor, the victim was a chump.
Look, the victim was acting like he was a mob figure. He was not a mob figure, Your Honor. He was
fat Robert De Niro.
Your Honor, the victim ain't shit and from an ain't shit family.
Your Honor, the two victims, one of them was not even in the FBI or a cop. He was an ATF guy. The other one on the other side, you know, acted like a mob guy. He ran guns. He could have just worked at a gun shop.
All right. Michael Keaton doing things with his body language you've never seen another actor doing anywhere else.
It kind of reminds me of inflatable arm tube man or whatever.
Remember we used to do that?
They could put Michael Keaton outside of like a car dealership in this movie.
Right. Get some exactly drum some business. Put that nervous energy to work.
Be next to D from Solve with
He'd probably do it too if you sent him a good script. Like
for real.
A very elaborate Roscoe's ad.
Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Roscoe's does kick ass. The greatest movie ever about paying rent.
True.
Yep.
Yeah, because her version of stuff is like she would have to downsize. It's not like Like, I think that she would have been fine no matter where she was. Like,
sure,
and she would have survived. But I'm glad she got to keep being a Cabo Airline stewardess.
The girl's dream.
I have been haunted by Bridgette Fonda saying he moves his lip when he reads. What does that tell you? Since like 9th grade.
I mean, it's like it's so damning. Like
in the book, he also follows along what he's reading with his finger.
Fantastic. Great.
While mouthing the words.
I think the first season of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith was caught
yes.
doing that, and also Emma Watson in the first few Harry Potter movies.
It would be super funny to link Will Smith and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air grows up to be Ordell.
Oh God, we so rich we ain't got no ceiling.
That's a tragedy. Desperately need whatever Jackie and Max have. Also, why did Melanie say Demi Moore? Was it because she was high? She was definitely not Demi Moore.
Yeah, that was not Demi Moore.
But I think that's a G.I. Jane reference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although with hair. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny because there's like a few seconds where they zoom in on the person's face and it's like the least Demi Moore person you.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Someone was doing that marijuana.
Cannot overstate how batshit insane Samuel L. Jackson's look is into this.
I love his silky hair.
Yeah.
There's the one thing where he takes his hair out of the ponytail and just lets it be silky.
Yeah.
When he's talking on the phone at the end, and that's how you know he's kind of lost control over his situation. And it's just like
I guess he picked that look himself. Like he styled that own sort of chaos mode look, which is unique.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he talks about his role, and he's like, he's learned from like all these great like theater teachers, how to really embody a character and how to like take a character's ideas and like thoughts and make them his own. And it's like, yeah, that guy probably would look like that.
Right. Fucked up to see someone else living your dream, smoking out Robert De Niro in a slutty little outfit.
But during that scene, she's so clearly like zeroing in on all of his insecurities and all of his character flaws and stuff. And there's different scenes where she's testing him to see like, can I use this guy to fuck over Samuel L. Jackson? And it's like, goddamn.
Yep, exactly. Every man in here looked like they smelled, and I don't know how to feel about that.
I feel like Ordell would smell like a cologne, like a really strong cologne that you're just is off-putting, like an off-putting, strong cologne. You're like
and Swisher Sweets.
Yeah, Swisher Sweets.
Robert Forster definitely be Aqua Velva, I think. So
yeah.
But he didn't wash his hands after going to the bathroom, so you got to be careful.
Another great little moment. Those are the Letterboxd one-liners for Jackie Brown. Please follow the show on our Movie Night Extra at Movie Night Extra Letterboxd HQ account, where you can track along all these episodes that we do here, as well as attendance short form content, clips, all sorts of fun stuff along those lines. Please follow us on there if you are on that platform. Across 110th Street, of course, is at Always Flacco. Forrest Miller, your host. He is logging all the stuff he does for this show and so very much more. Did a little John Wick journey.
He which I need to plug that when we do plugs. Yeah. But when you see him at the end of the last scene where he finally kisses her and she leaves, you hear him washing his hands. And maybe that is the lesson that everyone should learn from this.
Wash your hands.
He didn't wash his hands when Samuel L. Jackson was there, but he did wash her hands when she's there. He's like, I've learned my lesson. I wash my hands now. I'm glad somebody learned something.
I'm glad somebody learned something indeed. So if you want to learn more about what movies Forrest likes, you can follow him on the popular Letterboxd platform at Always Flacco. I, of course, am the bail bondsman at Conan Neutron. You can follow me along for the highbrow, the midbrow, the Populous Fair, back out of Criterion Challenge, This is Goodfellas was I think the first movie I'd watched since the last episode we did, which was like a month earlier. So I'd like a month of not watching movies. But I saw that. I saw Ballerina, which I loved, and I saw.
Of course you
did. If it
obviously, and Armistice. You're gonna love it.
Look, there's movies I just don't speak about. That's all there is that she's in. A large swath of her filmography I don't speak about.
Blonde, whatever that one is.
When I was on with Eileen, she said Anna de Armas. Like she said it in like a different way, and I was like, "Is that how are we? Have we been like I don't know?" She had an interesting pronunciation of her name.
Yeah, but she was wrong.
It's
it's like calling Josh Duggan.
I don't expect people to say my name correctly. I think more people should probably say hers correctly.
Yeah, well, exactly. Kristina at Kristina is the white exploitation filmmaker. I didn't see that till right now. Okay. Adam Kristina on Letterboxd, logging stuff more and more these days. So please follow.
Getting ready for all the summer movies. I'm going to watch Materialists. 28 years later, Superman, Fantastic Four. Let's go.
We're gonna be talking next week about Materialists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to see the movie. Oh God, why can't I remember the name of it? New Tom Hiddleston, Mike Flanagan movie.
Oh,
not the one like Chuck, Life of Chuck.
Yeah.
I've heard early reports of that it's fantastic, and that's very different from other things that he's done, and I'm very interested in that. So.
Also, we got Clayface for the DC universe, and Mike Flanagan is going to write that one, so that's going to be good.
Okay.
Have any of you guys ever seen The Hebrew Hammer? It's Adam Goldberg, but it's a blaxploitation movie, but it's a Jewish blaxploitation movie. Okay. So he's like a former IDF guy. Like it's the same kind of basic plot as a blaxploitation movie, where he's like a former IDF soldier turned like international assassin, and somebody like fucks him over, and he goes and he has to kill all the people that fucked him over. But it's literally it does all the same things as a blaxploitation movie, but as like a Jewish character.
Can't sound familiar. Josh Duggan, Old Man Duggan on Letterboxd, logging all kinds of stuff. So please follow him along. I do. Obviously, I know what's up. So follow him along for a good time on the Letterboxd platform.
By the way, Brandy scented cologne for Forster, I reckon. Yeah, you gotta. He's like I sprayed this on to get a little bit of the hint of that brandy now.
Let's hit it with the plugs.
If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and then hit the bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. And we'd humbly request that you watch the video to the end, because it helps us with the algorithm and helps more film fans to discover the show. We're also monetized. If you want to get your chat questions definitely read on stream, you can always send us a super chat, which will help us keep the show going. Every cent helps. If you're watching on Twitch, you can gift us a free sub on Amazon Prime with your Prime membership, but getting subs on Twitch is always appreciated, and it helps to follow us on there as well. We also have an audio feed, which is available wherever you download podcasts, if you prefer to listen to podcasts rather than watch the stream. That's updated usually the same day we stream, but watching on YouTube and Twitch is the best way to get the show first, live as it happens. If you want to support us with a monthly donation and get access to all of our after parties forever, which go patron only after we do them, you can become a patron at patreon.com/movie night extra. Link is in the description for that. It really helps us keep the show going, since we do have some expenses to make this happen. We also have a Discord community. Link is in the description for that. We sometimes watch movies we cover on there. We get into conversations about everything from film to TV shows to related podcasts. We even have a Discord channel for memes. It's really fun on there. You can find us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and Threads. You connect with us on all of those. Talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, we recently made a TikTok at Movie Night Extra, where we're putting up short-form clips from the episodes. Okay, passing this to Conan so he can tell you about his music and this week's Protonic Reversal. Conan, who's on Protonic this week?
Yeah, David J. of Bauhaus and 11 Rockets coming up. So this is after, I think, almost like a 2-month break or something along those lines while I tour around. So ProtonicReversal.com for the archives. Broadcast live, podcasted later everywhere. $1 a month for advance access. Patreon.com/ProtonicReversal. There's some pretty amazing stuff coming up. Steve Von Tilden Rosas coming back. Al Johnson, the U.S. Maple, is going to be on. And again, still waiting for the date, but it looks like Fred Schneider of the B-52s. So
yeah, they're going
very
cool. Devo.
Yeah,
they are going to a Devo.
Yeah, is that tour? I was going to say.
Wait for that.
I saw on Threads somebody was like, "Yeah, there's rumors about it," and I was like, "Yo, that better happen. That'll be sick."
Yeah. Those are substantiated rumors that has been announced at this point, with one of the least interesting tour posters I've ever seen. But they can't all be winners. What can I say? That obviously is going to be a great tour. Devo will actually be in Milwaukee for Summerfest next week, so I'll probably go see them for that.
Nice.
Conan Neutron, The Secret Friends, Way of the Neutron U.S. tour is over. NeutronFriends.bandcamp.com for the Way of the Neutron. My still new record. You can get a copy of it, CD, pre-order the LP. You can get digital. You can also listen to any of the streamers, all in the various places. There's a couple of videos for that dropping later this summer. There's still one for Who Dares, of course, but it's a lot of songs that I quite like on this record. So it's not gonna go gently into the night anytime soon. Also, we have more touring that we're going to be announcing a little later this summer as well for the fall for some other regions that we did not get the chance to get to. So exciting stuff. NeutronFriends.bandcamp.com for that. Let's see. Anything else? Nothing. I got two pretty cool things to mention, but I can't talk about them yet. So big things coming. Watch this space.
Oh, I'm sorry. Big things are coming. There's always big things.
Yeah. He said big things coming. It was just more music. He's already done that.
No one's ever like, medium-sized things coming.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty big thing. Frankly, I just don't know when I can announce it. So, I think that is it. I am going on a couple shows coming up, but nothing concrete right now. So, take care of that. Kristina, what do you got?
Well, I was doing like 4 animal sitting jobs on top of each other this weekend, so I was walking around from house to house in the heat, so that was fun. But now I'm down to
one.
It's
like a turducken of animal sitting. Thank you.
Yes, and I got one cat to watch over. I'm not going to stay there because I want to stream nice. I'll just stay there during the day. But I did my show, Kristina's Corner, on This Space TV on the YouTubes. We're going to be adding more folks. There's also this one guy, Devil's Advocate Productions, aka Alex, who wants to come on for Superman because he's a huge comic book nerd. So that's great. He loves my takes about all that stuff. Gonna be streaming.
Is that the prerequisite? How do you like my takes? That's a prerequisite for being booked.
Well, I mean, if somebody why would you book someone that doesn't like your takes? If they're like, this take again, you'd be like, why would I have you on then?
Yeah. And I covered how ICE is running out of money. We talked about the misinformation happening, what happened in Minnesota, because of course
they didn't buy all those matching masks and get those ordered. Maybe they would have, had some more money to spend.
Yeah, maybe. And talked about how our new Lois Lane is saying, hey, actors, don't knock yourself down when you do comic book movies. Just be happy, except for George Clooney, because we know why.
Can I say I'm not super familiar with Rachel Brosnan? I don't.
She was in Marvelous Mrs.
Maisel.
I never saw that. I never saw that.
It's pretty good. Of course, I'm going to be covering news. We might be going to war with Iran. There's a lot of stuff going on, unfortunately. And we're going to try to have fun on my Twitch stream.
A lot of stuff going on. None of it good.
Yeah, exactly. None of it good. What good things are happening?
Big things coming. They're going to be terrible. You're not going to like this.
Exactly. I didn't say it was good things. I said they were big
things. Yes, let's go. And I got my show, The Space, happening once a week on Tuesdays at 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. So it's amazing how much 1 hour goes by fast.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm like, damn.
Those This Is Revolution crossover episodes, there's no freaking way we're going to be able to discuss Chinatown in an hour. What do you... Jesus Christ.
It's Chinatown, Jake. All right. You guys
so that's what I got going on pretty much.
Cool.
All right. Josh, what do you got going on?
For Unkind Rewind, we're about to start dropping season 3 episodes. Season 2 and 1 are still out there, obviously. Conan was the guest for our penultimate movie of season 2. So
some are saying the highlight of the whole season.
Some are saying that.
Who's saying that?
Mostly me right
now. Really great episode though, Conan.
It actually was a really good episode.
It was really good. It was. Yeah, so the new season's about to start dropping. That'll start on Thursday. Nice. Munch My Benson, we're in paternity leave right now for my co-host, not me, thankfully. I didn't bring a person into this godforsaken world.
Dun dun.
But my co-host did, and so we're dropping episodes that have been behind the paywall while he's on paternity leave, and then the plan is to start recording once his eldest child is in kindergarten in mid-August. So we're hopefully going to be starting to drop new episodes in September, October. So that's Munch My Benson, which, I haven't had to think about SVU in so long, which is nice. Yep. But the podcast is really fun. And if you like SVU, you should listen to it. And then what do I have? I'm on this obviously tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, are you? Yeah, I had noticed.
Yeah. But then, I'm on all the socials as at Old Man Duggan. That I don't post on X anymore or Twitter.
X going to give it to you.
Yeah, not to me though.
Every time
certainly will not.
X only going to give it to you if you pay for a blue check. Which
one of my friends, every time he says X instead of Twitter, he does like a mashup of X going to give it to you and Friday by Rebecca Black, and I'm like, why do this to yourself?
That sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting.
I do like sarcastically calling it X the everything app.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because it really
I just call it that. It's definitely not Twitter. Whatever Twitter is and whatever that is, those are different things. Sorry,
he's gonna have to remodel Grok and make a Grok 4.0 or whatever the hell he's gonna do because it keeps going woke.
I like that you can see now who's too lazy to Google stuff though. Because they literally like hit up the AI for information. And it's like you couldn't just Google.
And then they get proven wrong and they're like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Yes."
They start arguing with the AI, which
I know.
Twitter is like, for one kind of person. It's the kind of guy that will like argue with an AI.
While looking up what Aunt Jemima's cup size is.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the most random.
They made her like Aunt Jemima's gone woke. They made her titties small.
Yeah, exactly. It burned more energy than the entire population of Cincinnati to find out that information. But hey,
I always think of, I can't even remember who said it, but somebody was like, every time you ask AI a question, they're throwing more endangered animals into like a furnace to keep it going.
I believe it.
But I never have any news, but I have some news. No, I went on Film Suck with Eileen, who's going to be on our show now. So we're just trading off, because Dolores, I guess, is moving. So
she's moving to Santa Fe, not to like dox her, but yeah.
Yeah, so she's in the process of moving, so I got to kind of basically like co-host because they don't really have guests because it's always the two of them, and I got to be the other person besides Eileen for talking about Ballerina and all the John Wick movies, which I watched in a row. I think I melted part of my brain now.
I was gonna say that is the crazy thing is you watch them all in a row. That's the thing.
I refuse to watch the first one because of the dog.
Yes, so I watched it when it came out. The dog. I didn't know that it was going to happen, and I remember distinctly being like, I'm not watching any of these fucking movies again. And then I went, well, if I'm going to be on a podcast, I'll watch all these movies again. I don't have any principles.
Like, what's the time, for the dog getting murdered? And I'm just going to be like this.
Yeah, I kind of, it hit me just hard the second time, but I liked all the John Wick movies once I got past that dog and said, fuck the dog, like, they're really great.
That's why they have the Does the Dog Die website.
It's not like I could bring the dog back. So I watched I watched all of them and Ballerina. Really liked them. I feel like we've been having our Keanu year this year because within the last year
we did
time, right?
Dracula, we did
Kristina and I did The Matrix with Ravana.
Yeah.
We did when I was on KT's show, we talked about Point Break. So I've had quite the Keanu year.
Keanu year.
Yeah.
We need to do River's Edge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to do any more Keanu movies, but I do feel like I lost some brain cells.
Because I got Keanu Reeves in it.
on the mind.
Well, I was talking about my mom's celebrity crush has always been Keanu Reeves. Mm-hmm. And so every time, so she's always like, Keanu's doing something. What's he doing now?
He's
let's fire
back.
up the Keanu Finder. Yeah, no, I enjoyed the episode. I listened to that show and I enjoyed the episode. Forrest, it was good.
Yeah, I think it was fun. We had to reschedule it though because she doesn't use StreamYard. She uses another like the Riverside one. And I guess it was down for Thursday, so I was all ready to do it. And then we both had to be like, all right, we watched these movies like last week to do this episode with our research. So we're doing it Saturday instead. So we had a whole Goodfellas conversation by that point.
Oh, that's right. I didn't think about it. Yeah.
But I thought it went well. I liked it. So it's not on their paid feed. It's on their free feed. So
Right.
I mean, you should become a paid member.
I mean, yeah, she's a friend of the show. She's on this show.
Yeah.
Often enough. Like, yeah, it's a good show. Like I said, I pay attention to it. I thought Ballerina was great. I loved it. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about it. Like, it's kind of surprising to me. It's like
it's one of those moments though where it feels like it's any movie that has a woman starring in like an action movie. A bunch of people are already primed to be like, I'm not watching it, but also I have some opinions, and it's like
also she better be sexy, and it's like, okay.
I thought Ballerina was good though. I thought it was
great.
I thought it did a good job filling in a lot of plot points that you don't really get in the John Wick movies because there's so few lines. They saved all the
it
lines
delivered on the promise of her Paloma character in the James Bond movie too, which frankly was the best part of that movie. That movie I did not enjoy, but I thought she was.
Yeah, who was in that movie? That James Bond movie? Was it Rami Malek?
Oh, as the bad guy. I've redacted from my memory. I just
I forgot. I don't even know what. No Time to Die. I forgot what the movie's called.
Yeah, it's No Time to Die. I don't know.
Post Oscar career hasn't been good to Rami Malek.
Yeah,
got the curse.
She was absolutely fantastic in that movie, so it's great to see her kind of double down on that. She really did the work. I mean, the physicality of what she does in that movie is incredible, considering that she's like killing dudes like twice her size.
Yeah,
it's a better Black Widow movie than Black Widow.
Well, I was talking about stuff like that, Conan, on my show earlier about how like we kind of live in a post like more women have agency in their characters and whatnot. Like the difference between Natasha and Yelena's characters are completely different. I'm like, yeah, it's I think Margot Robbie
started inventing more kinds of women. Who would have guessed?
I think Margot Robbie having agency over how Harley Quinn is portrayed is allowing more people to be like, yeah, let's not make him as like a subplot or plot-driven character, but actually like, a character-driven character,
A character-driven character indeed.
Yeah.
Let's get into final thoughts, huh? How about that?
Yeah. Yep. Kristina, you got some final thoughts?
Oh, wow. I get to go first.
I'm doing it this way.
Okay. So yeah, this is definitely Tarantino's most underrated film. I feel like more people should watch this. And again, if you're someone who has kind of seen most of Tarantino movies but are not familiar with this one, you have to see this one because this is the most reserved film, and you will be kind of surprised that it's actually directed by Quentin Tarantino until the feet shot. Then you'll be like, oh, yep, it's Tarantino. Yep, Grier should have been nominated for an Oscar, but it was a tough year. It was a very tough year. Yeah, if you're Tarantino, if you're getting into like Tarantino, watch this film because I feel like a lot of people skip this one or forget about this one when they're like doing his covering his movies or watching them.
Yeah, I completely forgot to say this during the actual episode. That whole because I had this on DVD. I think I still have it at my dad's house on DVD, and the whole chicks with guns, that whole scene.
Like 10 minutes.
There's a 10-minute DVD featurette that's just that on the DVD. But Josh, final thoughts.
Well, I said before, this is for my money, it's my favorite. I think it's the best Tarantino film. And people should read him. Like, not a hot take, but he's really awesome. And this book was great. I read Freaky Deaky, which is one of the other books that Tarantino had optioned at this point in time. It was Kill Shot, this, and Freaky Deaky. I've read a bunch of the Raylan books. He's really great, and people should read him.
For sure. Conan, Final thoughts.
When he says the Raylan books, he's talking about that turned into Justified, aka the reason why most people know Timothy Oliphant, which are good. Justified's a good show. Look, those two said a lot of what I was going to say already. I think, like I said, to me, it feels like a daylight noir. It's romantic, entertaining, vulnerable, reflective, and strangely kind of humane, very deeply, actually. And I love that it pays homage to the blaxploitation genre without really being a part of it. And just the elegance and respect given to the titular character and Jackie Brown, with Pam Grier just completely not just stepping up to the challenge, but just going far beyond it, is pretty damn cool. And much respect to Robert Forster and a similar kind of but understated late career reintroduction, star making role, what have you. I think the entire cast works wonderfully as a piece, and the pace is deliberate, but keeps moving along with a patience not normally associated with Quentin Tarantino, frankly.
Yeah.
There is violence, yes. There is foul language, but it's not really ever egregious, and it serves the style rather than overwhelming it. As mentioned, this being an Elmore Leonard adaptation probably has something to do with it, but also feels like a film made by a true film lover with nothing to prove, which I always love. I'm a big fan of that. Once more, big shout out for the stunning music choices with the Delphonics and Bobby Womack, amongst others. And I think this brings a pretty deep emotionality that hits far differently in your 40s than in your 20s, frankly. And its charms have only grown with time, and just as the sly and assured beauty of the main character. And it is the most underrated Tarantino movie. I'm firmly convinced of it.
Yeah, it's interesting that his next movies are going to be Kill Bill, where it's like, it feels like because of the genres that he's kind of homaging, he has a whole lot to prove throughout that entire, sequence of movies.
Yeah.
As opposed to like this, which, it does feel like he has nothing to prove, and he's just kind of doing it. He's doing this thing. He's allowing it to flow in like an organic way.
It's his Rio Bravo. He wanted a good hangout movie,
Yeah.
And that's great. It's Rio Bravo for people that are never going to watch Rio Bravo.
His next his next kind of real, like, I guess, hangout movie, or a movie that spends a lot of time kind of hanging out with characters, is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think. And a lot more.
They're doing a Netflix spinoff about that one.
Well, a lot more tense, I think, within that hangout session in this movie.
Right.
Unless you're Chris Tucker, of course. But yeah. So next Tuesday we're gonna be doing Materialist with Eileen Jones. That should be it. We haven't done
a song movie.
Yeah, we haven't done a blind watch kind of thing.
We'll
I think
see.
in a while.
We'll see.
I love Pedro. Pedro Summers here. Let's go. He's in everything right now.
Yeah, he really is. It's like
everything everywhere all at once, and everyone's like, "Stop it!" I'm like, "No, don't stop it."
I'm not surprised that he's in everything. I am surprised that with his like politics or whatever, he's able to, he built his career.
He does seem to be like the one guy that can get away with just saying whatever and doesn't really seem.
Javier Bardem as well, because he did like that racing movie with Brad Pitt, and all he's talking about is Palestine. I'm like, good for him. Keep doing it, pal.
Anyway, Materialist, no idea if it's any good or not, but we like Past Lives a lot, so I guess let's roll the bones and see. Find out next week.
We'll see you guys next week for